two, one. Okay, so we were going to talk about just guns in general, gun control in general, maybe even gun control in minor, and not gun control, like, goddamn anarchy. No, not anarchy, because anarchy, it's as fake as communism itself. Communism doesn't really exist in the natural world, and they say anarchy is a natural world, but people organize and they become like a whole group which has rules, your hierarchies, your social orders, you goddamn pack dominance. That's not anarchy, that's rules, and nature has fucking rules.
So it's kind of like all that shit based on social hierarchy in the animal kingdom that Jordan Peterson talks about. Down a little bit. Sorry, it's killing me.
Okay. So the only thing killing you.
All right, so it's the natural progression of things for everything to sort itself out. Feudalism comes around, might is right after the collapse of the empire, so on and so forth, and another empire is born.
Wait. Are we talking nature or Star Wars now? I'm confused. Okay. No, yeah. So, right. Yeah, because when you get down to like the whole natural law, it's like might is right, but that's where like the humans differentiate is that we have the whole rule of consent, right? It's not just based on the hell's the biggest, meanest, baddest. It's a little bit, right? Because
no, it always is. It's dressed up in a blue suit with a shiny metal.
No, it's not. It's not even that. And I'll tell you why. Is before we even had like the idea of police and enforcers and shit like that. People were always kind of. There was balance of powers. There was opposition of forces. It's like even between the animals, like the wolves and the humans. That's why they formed an alliance. Like, of course, we'd probably beat the first wolf cub into submission after we murdered their parents. Actually, I really figure that's how it went down.
No.
Yeah, you don't think so? I'm pretty sure. Like, I bet you anything. It wasn't like some Neanderthal went out there and just seduced this wolf with freaking scraps of food that was starving into following him. No. He went out there and he murdered some pack of Neanderthals. Murdered a pack of goddamn wolves. And, like, the female Neanderthal seen that as cute, cuddly pups. Was like, no. Clicks and whistles or whatever the fuck their language was. And, promised some sweet snoo if they didn't murder those puppies. And those puppies grew up to be like, members of the tribe, and like they were like, oh, holy crap, these things, like they let us know when the big other animals come around.
I disagree, because dogs are still animals. They're wild animals, and they're domesticated animals. But the fact is that if you carrot motivate a dog, it's much more advantageous to you as a dog owner than it is to stick motivate a dog.
Sure. But how long did it take humans to figure that out?
Yeah, there's really no way of knowing.
Yeah, okay, so I've got no sort of research at all on that, but I imagine that it really had to do with like just raising those puppies from little bitty babies.
Sure, yeah,
right. So like that was your like it was nurture.
Yeah,
so it was okay.
It
So
was
like this.
Who the fuck beats a baby? Like they die if you beat them.
Right. But I don't think that some caveman was able to like just tease some starving wolf into like coming over there and being his freaking campfire buddy. Like, it's not Dances with Wolves, man.
It's the woman that you were talking about, and like, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to find out that wolf breastfed off of that fucking Neanderthal woman's tit.
Well, okay, like, yeah, it might even make sense. Like, that might make sense. It's well within the realm of plausibility. There's no reason that it's not. I don't really think that it changes the idea of the idea, though. You know what I mean? It's
right.
just just a different mechanism for obtaining food. It was a younger pup instead of an older pup. You know, a little bit less convenience. I don't know. Who cares? Okay, so
this day and age, we're actually like back to the point at hand. We're talking about guns, and like a dog is just another kind of gun. So I mean,
weeds are tall, right?
Yeah. We weren't expecting that we were going to get there so fast. But this was great about the process. This is new, and by the way, I'm a man with no name.
Yeah, because names are for friends. You don't have any.
I don't have any. And who are you?
That's a good fucking question. Who the fuck am I? Does anybody even care who I am?
Are you fucking Craig?
Craig Christ? No. Yeah. So it's Chris Christ over here and...
Chris Christ and Johnny Be Good.
Christ, you should fucking hang yourself. That's the worst asylum I've ever heard in my life. Don't actually hang yourself, okay? Don't Epstein. Don't Epstein all over this floor.
We'll get it worked out later.
Yeah, it's okay.
I just kind of choked on it, man.
This is the pilot episode, right?
Yeah, so just Johnny Be Good right now.
At fucking nothing. I'm just kidding. You wouldn't be here if you weren't good at something. Mostly,
Johnny Be Good at,
drinking?
Jerking off with his left hand.
Whoa. This has got to be a PG-13.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. It's PG-37. Yeah, if your parents are alive and you're still 37, well, hey, high five to you.
Hey.
You had a boring childhood.
Yeah, well, I got nothing on that. I've got nothing to say. And you shouldn't really work so hard to shut me down. you just threw a giant log in the middle of the road. Now I got to get out of my car and pull it off the street so I can keep on fucking driving.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so there was actually a point in doing all of this, right? So we were going to talk a little bit about what the hell is going on and like why people are so possessed or obsessed with the idea of just gun control in general, and why is that the solution? Why are guns the problem, and how did it get this way? So I understand like you had been doing a little bit of reading about this. So what you got? What you thinking?
Well, I mean, from everything that I've seen, it's pretty troubling because there's a lot of parallels that directly affect the people that want to take the guns away. Basically, I equate it to abortion, homosexuality, like any sort of like a taboo societal thing or whatever. Like, these people, they fought and they clawed for their rights, and the people that didn't understand this shit, they feared it. Okay, so like the people that grow up, like it's the people in the metropolitan centers that never have access to guns, so they don't ever get to be around it, understand it, and people fear what they don't understand.
Okay. So yeah, you're talking about the people that simply couldn't afford one or couldn't afford a place to actually use one practically, or when I say practically, like just to be exposed to it, to go to a shooting range where like things like that were a luxury. Things like that were like a deep luxury, and then the other ones were the ones on the farther end of the economic spectrum that were higher up the class, and everything was really obtainable for them without having to procure anything for themselves. They lived in a nice little bubble where they felt safe. The odds of them being a victim of any crime was just ridiculously low because they're around other rich upper class people that don't have any sort of
oddly enough,
enemies, that are really violent.
Oddly enough, we've described the gentry and the victims of gentrification.
Well, I guess that's one way to look at things, but it exists so far beyond that because gentrification is like an entirely another subject where, one group imposes themselves or buys up area in a lower class or lower price margin area and then, improves upon it rapidly and subsequently, maybe not even intentionally, but inevitably drives everybody else out because they've raised property taxes beyond what the original inhabitants could afford. But that's not what I was getting at. But if you're rich enough, chances are you live in a bubble, like the people in Monaco. And if you're familiar with the country of Monaco or the nation state, whatever you want to call
adjacent to Spain, right? Between like Europe,
they
Africa,
have absolute fuck
Mediterranean.
all for crime, right?
Right.
So that's the big deal there. You got absolute nothing for crime, and you got nothing for violence because everybody there has everything to lose and no reason to risk it, like none, at all. So whereas you go to the other end of the spectrum, right? So you want to go to like Juarez, Mexico, like fuck, you got nothing to lose, and you're gonna die anyway, and it's gonna suck when you do. So you got nothing to do but just fucking throw all your cards on the table, all your chips out there, and just go for it. And there's not very many chips. There's not very many cards. Like you've got nothing really to risk but your life, or your reputation, and like that's the other big deal, right? So like you got no money, you ain't got a car. Maybe you got a car. Like you might be doing pretty good. Like I say Juarez, like I honestly don't know the economics of Juarez specifically, so it's dumb of me to say that place specifically. But I know that there's places all over the world, even here in the U.S. Even here in the U.S.
To clarify.
Yeah. So sorry, you timed out there for a second. Okay, go ahead. Roll
I was just saying to clarify. Juarez is a city on the other side of the border from El Paso, correct?
That's what I thought. Yeah. So
okay.
it's pretty much in the thick of cartel.
Yeah, that's basically war-torn border town cartel. Like, actually, from what I understand, though, like from what I've read about it, their economy is actually fairly robust.
Okay, so but you still, I'm sure, like anywhere else, and like I don't care where you're at. Any place where there's relative poverty, right? When I say relative, like it's really like there's that inequity, like everybody hates that, like, or I guess everybody on the right hates it, and everybody on the left is like, inequity is the answer to everything. And
you're referring to like the economic disparities, right? Like
yes.
Like the Houston Heights here, like where you've got like nasty, super poor ghetto people living next to super rich people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because that's just a spit in your eye.
Right.
Okay, so but then you get off into the areas where nobody has nothing, their parents didn't have nothing. And they feel relatively confident that they're not going to have nothing. The only thing they got one thing that's worth a shit. You know what it is? It's a reputation, right? So I went looking right on gun violence, the statistics for it, and I was really convinced when I started off that I was going to find out that the majority of violence, aside, you roll out the suicide because like suicide's not violent. Well, it's violent to yourself, but it isn't violent when you overdose on pills.
It's still documented into the statistics,
right? For gun violence, right? But nobody has drug violence. Suicides don't count as drug violence.
No.
Right. So that's why it's dishonest to count suicides by gun as gun violence. It's just dishonest. Like you don't have rope violence. There's no rope violence at all when people hang themselves. It's not sheep violence. It's stupid. Like it's just dishonest. It's fake as shit. So. Back to what I was getting at is I was really expecting to find like this huge one-sided proportion of just gang violence, right? I'm thinking, okay, well the cartels are just violent as heck, and then you got the inner city gangs like in Chicago and New Orleans and Los Angeles, and Philadelphia, just like ruling everything. Yeah, I don't know. You go back to the Bloods, the Crips, and the Bloods and Crips and stuff, or whatever it is, MS-13 and your Zetas, all your major players in the drug trade and the drug cartels, killing everybody off and like fighting over turf and so on and so forth. It's not what I found though. I found that like that works out to ironically somewhere between 15 to 13%. Yeah, it's not huge. I mean, like, it's significant, like, 13% of about 15,000 people annual, and, like, that's rounding up a good bit. It's still a significant number of people. But then the other majority, like, is 50% is in these low-income areas, right? And most of that is not gang violence. It's not organized crime violence. It's just street beef. Just people that had some sort of petty quarrel, presumably about a reputation or some sort of, other what we would consider like a petty dispute. Like that's 50% of the whole thing, more than 50%. Like you combine that with the the drug side of that, like holy fuck, like you're over like 60% now.
Sure. But I think the important thing to understand is that what also gets lumped into gun violence is the people that use their firearms to protect their home.
Well, yeah, right, because they don't make any sort of deduction for justifiable homicide. That's running somewhere around about 1,000 people a year, though, tops. And like about another 1,500 for law enforcement. Okay.
Are there statistics lumped into the violent gun crimes?
Oh well, it depends on who you look at, right? So, but yeah, you're really over the top. You're what is it? 90 people a day. What was it like? I can't remember what was it. Hillary Clinton's crazy
Southern
thing.
Poverty Law Center statistics.
Yeah, or you want to go with what is it? The Mothers one, Mother Jones, and Everytown. Yeah, like they throw everything out there. So like one of the ones that I went with, because they're pretty vehemently anti-gun, was the anti-violence policy, and so they had a study that showed guns being used in defensive gesture, right? And they excluded justifiable homicide from it, conveniently enough. Right, so over a 3-year trend, they had come up with like 357,000 uses, and it breaks down to about 48,000 uses. And I'm sorry, 52,000 uses. I have to go back. I'm looking at some notes here because I wrote it down actually.
So, are you talking about just people that brandish a firearm?
Well. Yeah, this is people that didn't shoot or kill or people that didn't kill anybody. I don't know. Jesus. It does not differentiate if they shot or not.
Jesus fuck, it does, man.
Nobody died. That's the main deal.
Nobody died. And I've got it written down here because I got to look because, this was something that we planned out to do. And yeah. Feel free to just go ahead and fill a little bit of space here.
No, absolutely.
This is weak as shit.
The trouble with all this is that they, like they pick things selectively, and statistics can always be manipulated to suit your agenda. And I mean, that's the beautiful thing about numbers is they're static. Once.
They're dynamic depending on what angle you look at them from, right?
Yeah,
so we got that, right? But, okay, there's what's objective and there's what's...
subjective.
Right. Okay, so the number was 175,700 over 3 years of defensive gun use. This was Anti-Violence Policy Center, okay? And this was a 2013 study that they did this, okay? And they came up with over 3 years... going through police reports of reported, right? Because like some people don't even report it when they use a gun defensively.
Sure.
And what's the point, right? Because they might get in trouble for it. So they don't say nothing. They say, well, maybe I violated some sort of technicality, and so it's not worth it. Or nobody got hurt. They're no harm, no foul. And they're just on their way.
From what I gather, like actually, there's a lot of states where just brandishing a firearm for self-defense purposes to make somebody run away. To just use it as like a
deterrent.
A deterrent tool, yes. That's aggravated assault.
Well, yeah, right. If the other person doesn't get arrested or they don't find that person, then you just confess to aggravated assault, but they don't have a victim. It gets a little bit cloudy there, but it depends on the state law. Like New York, even in your own home, like you have to actually try to retreat within your home to some place.
They don't have a stand your ground law.
No, they don't. Okay, but anyhow, right? So it was 175,700 people over 3 years in non-fatal defensive uses, right? So it boils down, if you divide that by 3, it's 58,566 defensive uses per year, right? So, okay, then you've got about 15,000 people per year murdered by all methods, like guns, knives, baseball bats, rear naked choke, what the fuck ever, right? So that's a difference of 43,566 people that defended themselves, right? That's a net gain of 43,566 lives saved, right? And double that if you count the attacker, because he didn't get killed either.
Right.
Right, so I mean, when they say, "Oh, well, if it saves one life," well, fuck, what time frame? What time frame are you looking at?
That's
like
a
100
beautiful
years, 1,000 years?
silver lining for like those ACLU people.
Sure, yeah, because now they've got somebody who they can, make money off of, right? They can go ahead and maybe they could sue the guy that pointed the gun at him, like, "Oh, hey, you suppressed my rights" or something. I don't know.
No,
but either way, like the guy lives to fight another day, lives to pray another day. Like, it depends on how you flip it. Maybe he learned a lesson. He says, "Oh shit, that was too close," and let me leave this life a crime.
Either way, it's a feel-good story for the news.
One enough.
Yeah, if it makes it to the news. Because these are the stories that never make it to the news, obviously. It's always a cop that gets killed, or, it's some horrible tragedy. It's never a crisis that's averted by just common sense application of exercising a right, like your Second Amendment.
Yeah, so I just want to tag you for a second. Or when I say tag you, I just want to beat you up a little bit. It's the whole common sense thing, man. Like, I hate it. I hate it to death.
Oh, the assumption that people have... Okay, the assumption that people have common sense in general.
No,
The expectation that, somebody has the ability to think critically about a situation.
Well, that's a really eloquent way of putting it, but I actually disagree with its fundamental nature and the way that it's used in our common language.
Okay.
It's a passive-aggressive way of saying you're stupid if you don't agree with me. That's how it's used.
I dig it. I like it. I'm on board with it. Like, I won't mince words. Like, yeah, that's a nice way of saying that if you don't align with my way of thinking, you're stupid. God bless your heart. I'm from Texas.
There you go. Right. That's why the whole gun control lobby says, well, it's just common sense gun law. So they get everybody on board. They don't fucking want any sort of objective outside voice to question them, like, because then they don't have common sense. And who the fuck doesn't want to have common sense? It's just common sense.
Yeah, it's a colloquialism that can be thrown in from both sides of the aisle. Sure, if you don't see things my way, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. So that's the whole problem I have with it. If you want to go by the dictionary definition, right? It's knowledge gained through common experience or experience, not through scholastic endeavor, right? So how the hell?
So common sense by Webster is street smart.
It's experience, right? So yeah, to some degree, street smart, right? And so then it's really super subjective to where you are from.
Yeah.
What's common sense? And that, I believe, is actually true, right? So, okay, you want to go with that definition. Well, shit, and all the people on the other side of that coin touting the common sense line, well, they're the ones that are against tribalism to begin with. Tribalism is a horrible, evil thing where people from one area band together, and everybody that's not from that area and doesn't share their experiences is a xenophobic bigot. And, well, hell, who wants to be that? Well, you do, because you don't have common sense if you're not a xenophobic bigot.
That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
That's what she said.
Well, here's the thing, man. And this is the way that I feel about it. No matter who's in power, there's going to be a camp of people that are sitting there trying to demonize this other person. I don't want to get too far off into the weeds with this, but there was 8 years of Obama, and we were living in the apocalypse, according to the likes of, Sean Hannity and, and those guys. And you know what? The world didn't fall apart. Before that, we had 8 years of Bush, and there were people on the other side at NPR crying their eyes out, saying that, and I'm not a Bush apologist. Like, the guy wasn't perfect, and, he fucked a lot of shit up. But, I'm not an Obama fan either, but what I'm saying is that no matter who's in there, they're the worst piece of shit. They're fucking trash. They're fucking hate mongers and all this other stuff. And it's no matter who's there, they're terrible.
Yeah, well, that's polarization, right? And I think it's amplified really bad right now.
The Trump effect is crazy.
But it's not just the Trump effect. It's not the Trump effect. It's just people are more informed, and they're more exposed to these really simplistic, very low resolution poorly articulated opinions.
I think the word you're looking for is meme, sir.
Yeah, right. That's exactly the point, right? That's a great example of specifically what I'm talking about. But it's not just that. Like Twitter is evil as shit in that regard. It's all about
boiling your opinion down to a soft, shitty paragraph.
Okay, not even a paragraph. It's like a little more than a sentence. 140 characters. Like, is it 140 characters? I don't know what it is. I don't
think
use
it is.
Twitter.
It's 140 characters. I don't Twitter.
I'm over here. Yeah, I know. Like here we are, socially ignorant, like we're dinosaurs. We don't Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I just never use it because like all the opinions that happen on there.
It's a shit show. I don't even like Facebook these days.
Yeah, Facebook gets rough. It gets really rough. Like I use it more than I should, and where I come off is there's a lot of really, really long-winded, piss-poor, opinionated ideas just being dribbled out there, and it is demoralizing. It makes me lose faith in human. There's some gems. There's some real gems, though, like some people out there that will actually take some time and spell check. They probably copy and paste even like Word, and then they come back with it. But like, fuck.
Those people are good. If you want to articulate a beautiful argument and you want to cross-check it with your word processing program, I think that's fantastic. But what I think the problem is that whenever you've got something that you're trying to say to somebody and they just want to beat you to death on the minutia, and they want to correct you on your grammar, or maybe you just misspoke a word or something, and they don't want to get to the fundamental issue at play. They want to beat you to death on the little things.
Yeah, there's a term for that.
What is that?
It's boiled down to one simple term: petty. Petty bullshit. You're just being fucking petty.
I think petty bullshit sums up the fucking symptom of the universe right now.
Well, yeah, but somebody wants to sit there and pick apart, minor grammatical problems, right? So I understand you do not want to be taking, medical advice from somebody that can't spell cat, dog, or even form a sentence that isn't a run-on or be bothered to use punctuation. That's great advice, right? And some people are just guilty of talk to text errors and they don't go back and edit it because it's Facebook and who gives a hot shit at the end of the day. But when you're going back and having a dialogue with somebody and somebody wants to beat you up over a single punctuation mark or a single misspelling, it's like, okay, man, you are really desperate now to have a little room here. I don't even worry about people like that. It's like something that doesn't even roll up on my radar anymore.
I don't worry about that either because I think that those people, if you're not going to argue the main point, is because I feel like you've already lost the argument.
Well, yeah, that's why they're deflecting to other things. That's the way that it works. I do, I'm guilty of doing this and arguing with people on Facebook, but I honestly have shifted some people's opinions. Like people that. Once upon a time, we were on some sort of other public thread and arguing, and it probably went on for like a day or two, and then finally they come back and they sent me a friend request, and I was like, you know what? I don't give a shit. You know what? Block me, or report every post I got, get me kicked off here. I don't care. That's not what happened, though. It's not what happened. I had that happen one time out of probably an extra 150 friends, right? One time I had one person, just use that as an opportunity to go in there and find something from several years ago that would violate the new terms of service. That's not what happened though. The majority of times, what happened was they would continue going on with the things that they believed in, and then when I would weigh in on it, they would actually consider my opinion, and that made me regain some faith in humanity. Not everybody is this, the sycophant that just wants to hammer everyone down with these stupid talking points that they didn't even come up with themselves.
I think what the problem is though is that the sycophants, the people that you speak of, the people that are just it's regurgitation of talking points. What I think the deal is with these people is that they have the loudest voice. It's a minority, but it's a very loud minority.
Yeah, that's something right there that annoys the hell out of me, right? You think about the really big popular voices that were on, traditional media, your old television stations. You had people like, that was back before it went this way. Of course, Alex Jones, big idiot, really loud, just boisterous as shit. And then that nails on chalkboard of a woman, Tommy Lauren, and but the whole thing was just like this, like this whole rhetoric, and just yelling at the microphone and just shouting their opinion. I can't think of who that woman is. She was a judge and a prosecutor, and like she had her own segment on TV. She was, crap.
I don't remember, man, because like it's been a solid decade since I actually watched TV.
Yeah, same here.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't miss it.
I love that we live in this world where it's YouTube and Netflix and whatever kind of streaming shit you can find over the internet. You can be infinitely selective about the media that you choose to digest. Although I feel like there is a bit of a danger in that, because you can isolate yourself and put yourself in an echo chamber of a bubble, like where you're just sort of seeing things that just reinforce your own beliefs. And I feel like you do need to shake things up every once in a while.
Yeah, especially like you get these people that are a little bit less skeptical by nature, a little bit more agreeable, and they end up in like these YouTube holes, right? So YouTube just always constantly links you to something that was similar to what you just watched, or has the same tags, or maybe the same viewers. And this is how this is how like we ended up, I think, with so many like flat earthers.
Bro, hey, I gotta tell you, man, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, I got into this fucking YouTube rabbit hole where I watched protesters getting run over by cars for like a solid 4 hours. It was gold, dude.
All over the world,
God,
huh?
I was laughing my ass off the whole time, and like, you get out of the USA and they're fucking brutal.
Oh yeah. People thought, oh well, in other countries like this stuff doesn't happen. Man, I'll tell you, like I was in one of those protests in Venezuela, and like I was thinking, like, man, I'd like to run these motherfuckers down.
Fucking A, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember you telling me the story. That was fantastic. And like, we should cover that in another conversation, unless you want to talk about it right now.
No, I don't want to talk about it, because like that's a story in itself.
I think that we could devote a whole hour to that.
Oh God, yeah, because it was like 12 hours of my life. It's easy to devote.
Yeah, that could easily be condensed. Yeah. But hey, we are running out of time for tonight.
Are we really?
Yeah, it's 8:30.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, let's plug this off and
let's
call it a day. But I
think
think
a fucking pin in it.
we can pick this back up another day.
This was fun.